Good morning and welcome to the 10 a.m. daily weather brief. As for the 7 days ahead, much of the remaining work week, that is, aside from tonight, is going to stay in rather consistent states of being with cold temperatures, occasional breezy moments, and overarching dry conditions that will be the predominant themes up until Saturday, in which we do begin to introduce the chances of seeing yet another coastal low develop, and we'll see some adverse weather likely reach the local area and affect the mid-Atlantic region. But as for tonight, as mentioned in the day of brief, we will see another Arctic front move through the area, in which a few passing snow showers do look to be possible. And at the moment, they do seem to remain rather minimal in terms of accumulations. However, if one of those showers does begin to overperform, it is possible that we see a quick dusting, and accumulations would likely occur rather instantaneously given the sub-freezing ground temps. But then moving on through Friday and into Saturday, that high pressure is going to continue to keep us cold and dry until the afternoon hours of Saturday, in which we can see here on the right-hand side that high pressure over the central U.S. and a strong coastal low do begin to take form, and those two features are going to work to complement each other by allowing cold air to reinforce from the north and warm, moist air from that coastal low to be pushed inland, and that will result in the potential for some geographically widespread snowfall, windy conditions, and even the chance of coastal flooding across a good portion of the mid-Atlantic. Now, for the sake of comparison, we can take a look at the two camps of thought, if you will, as of currently, in which the top left we have one of the more recent Euro runs, and we can see that coastal low here off of the Carolinas. We can see the precip extent does not bring snow to the local area, as this run has the low a bit further off to the east and not as far up to the north. And if we look to the GFS, the other camp, if you will, we can see that coastal low is much closer to the Carolinas and the Virginia Beach area and a little further north. And in that scenario, we do see much more coverage as far as the extent of snowfall across the mid-Atlantic. And then looking down to the left to show kind of how the models are oscillating, this is the most recent run of the Euro, which historically has been doing decent as far as handling the winter storms of the year. And we can see that this run has brought the system a bit closer to the coast. This is an hour or two before the run on the top of the screen, but it has brought that coastal low a bit closer to the shoreline, and in this case the precip, or the extent of the precip, has moved farther north, so kind of showing how these models are oscillating between the two scenarios. And then off to the bottom right here, we can see that that trough that's going to be digging through has lots of vorticity and energy to tap into. So wherever this low does form, it's likely that it will gain a rather modest amount of strength and be able to dump a lot of the precip wherever it does move through. But as a result of these oscillations, we are going to hold off on throwing out numbers until at least tomorrow, to allow those models to consolidate a bit more. But as of current, I think it would be fair to say that areas south of the local area, such as Virginia Beach and Norfolk, do look more likely to pick up accumulations, and that would be unless some major changes do occur, which is possible, but as of currently, that does look to be the case. And it's also worth noting that as of today, in comparison to yesterday, we have been seeing an ever so slight trend of the models pushing that low to the north and a little bit to the west, which for our case would bring us a little more precip. And then moving on, by mid-Sunday, midday Sunday, if we do see that precipitation shield end up affecting the local area, it will begin pulling away as the system pushes offshore to the northeast. So we can see here in the top left that low is exiting offshore, pushing to the northeast, and that's going to allow the conditions to generally wind down, and we'll see high pressure and an upper level ridge begin building in on the backside over the southern region of the U.S., and that would ultimately begin our slight warm-up through the end of the week into the beginning of next week, with temperatures climbing upwards of the 40s, but they look to remain in the upper 30s as of current. As for the 24-hour forecast ahead, continuing to see a low cloud coverage and extent for a majority of the day today. We will see that Arctic cold front come through in the evening hours, late evening hours, and generate those chances of seeing a couple snow showers. And as those temperatures fall into the mid-teens, those winds are also going to pick up on the later portion of the forecast period, and we'll see those wind chills get into the single and negative digits for the early hours of tomorrow, with our high today looking to come into the mid to upper 20s. And for the short-term outlook for the next few days here on Thursday, we can anticipate partly cloudy and slightly breezy conditions with a high of 28 and a slight chance of seeing those lingering winds necessitating a wind advisory. And then Thursday night, expecting partly cloudy conditions and a low around 15 with greens across the board. And similarly on Friday, partly to mostly cloudy and a high of 28 with greens across the board. And to close us out, we'll look at the 7 days ahead, which we're seeing those mostly sunny skies as of current. We'll see cloud cover build in tonight with a slight chance of seeing some snow showers. Then we'll see skies clear up on the backside. Clouds will then start building in as that coastal low begins to take form. And on Saturday and Sunday, we see that moisture reach the area and give us those chances of seeing snowfall and accumulations throughout the mid-Atlantic. Again, seeing how everything comes together on that. And then following that low as it pulls away, those skies are going to clear up, and then to start the next week, we should see mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies with warming temperatures. And for a majority of the week, our temperatures do look to stay in the mid-20s and drop to the mid-teens, again, for a majority of the week until the beginning of next week. And that is going to conclude the 7-day outlook. Everyone has a great day, and we'll be back tomorrow at 8:15 with the daily weather operations brief.